in the last couple of years there's been so many changes, and I've really stuck my neck out against a lot of people's advice, and it's worked, so I'm happy.
In 1990, Australian pop singer Kylie Minogue released her third studio album. The music would be quite the departure from Kylie's earlier bubblegum pop, with a much more dance-influenced sound. Kylie also explored and presented herself in a more sexual and raunchier manner, leading the media to label her Sex Kylie. It's safe to say the record label at the time were less than enthusiastic about this change in image, which was rumoured to have been heavily influenced by her then boyfriend Michael Hutchence. This would be the first album to also feature tracks produced by people other than Stock Aitken Waterman, who had written and produced her first two records, with Kylie even beginning to co-write on some of the new material. So, with this album often cited by fans as being one of Kylie's best, let's take a deep dive into the brilliant Rhythm of Love. In 1988, Kylie Minogue was riding high on her success with debut album Kylie, but was battling to steer her public image away from her character of Charlene Robinson in Neighbours.
All their lives they were told they mustn't.
Don't make a mess of your life, Lola.
They shouldn't.
I'm gonna give you the hype. The following year, Kylie took the lead in The Delinquents, an Australian coming-of-age romantic drama film directed by Chris Thompson. She believed the role of a rebellious, passionate country girl that suffers through an abortion during her teenage years and has several love scenes in the film would establish her as a serious actor.
Promise me we'll always stay together.
Your mother claims you are uncontrollable. Stand still.
Filming of The Delinquents had coincided with the recording of Kylie's second album, Enjoy Yourself. Both the film and the album were released in late 1989, and both were commercially successful, though received mixed reviews from critics, many of whom considered them as failed attempts to differentiate Kylie from her girl-next-door image. That same year, Kylie began dating Michael Hutchence, lead singer of Australian rock band In Excess. The pair had met 2 years prior but kept their blossoming romance under wraps to avoid any potential backlash against Kylie's typically squeaky clean image. After all, Hutchence was known for living the classic sex, drugs and rock and roll lifestyle that just would not have sat well with parents of Kylie's much younger fan base. However, by 1989, and having attended the Australian premiere of The Delinquents together, Kylie and Michael's now public romance was made official and would bring them both huge media attention, specifically Kylie, where her apparent newfound exploration of her own sexual and sensuality would be the emphasis for the next phase in her career, often labelled by the media as Sex Kylie.
And we read again about the new image and, you know, new glamour and all of that. Does he have any part in sort of you trying to get away from that cute image, you know, and being allowed to grow up?
Yeah, he does. Mainly because he encourages me to be myself and says, you know, just go for it. Mainly he gets me to relax, which is one thing I've learned to do in the last year, which has really helped me. A lot of that was to do with Michael, which, I mean, I was getting annoyed at being asked that all the time around that period, but it is very true, and I think it shouldn't go without saying that he encouraged me to think for myself and do what I wanted to do. But yeah, the change definitely has to be in yourself, otherwise it won't be a lasting change.
By the early 90s, pop music was evolving as more alternative rock, techno, rave and dance entered the musical mainstream, Stock Aitken Waterman acknowledged Kylie's evolving public image and discussed ways to update their music and lyricism to incorporate this for her next album. They decided to subtly move on from Kylie's previous material, but not too drastically, in order to avoid alienating fans of her earlier bubblegum pop. For the album, Stock Aitken Waterman took cues from more dance-orientated music, with Matt Aitken stating that pure pop songs had run their course. The record would also feature pop, funk, R&B and rap influences. Tracks for Rhythm of Love were recorded in early to mid-1990. One of the first songs to be completed was Better the Devil You Know, which was recorded within 3 hours in London during the Enjoy Yourself tour in March 1990. During the production of Rhythm of Love, Kylie began to take more control within her craft. She came up with many visual ideas and took inspiration from Madonna's fourth studio album, Like a Prayer, from 1989. Before starting work on Rhythm of Love, Kylie asked to record some of the tracks with producers other than Stock Aitken Waterman, which they accepted. In March 1990, Kylie travelled to Los Angeles to collaborate with other producers. Sessions with Keith Cohen, Michael J, and Madonna's longtime collaborator Stephen Bray produced the tracks The World Still Turns, One Boy Girl, Count the Days, and Rhythm of Love, all of which credited Kylie as co-writer for the first time. Michael Hutchins was with Kylie during the sessions, often listening to the rough tapes and giving her advice about songwriting. The album's artwork was photographed by Austrian photographer Markus Marans. English artist Nick Egan, who previously art directed sleeves for Duran Duran and INXS, handled the design for Rhythm of Love with designer Eric Roinstad. The photo session for Rhythm of Love took place within Los Angeles in October 1990.
Looks glamorous, doesn't it? Well, it's supposed to. We always try to make everything sound and look its very best. You wouldn't be satisfied with anything less. A lot of technical expertise goes into every video I make, and a lot of talent. Everyone on the set is brilliant at what they do. Many start work long before I get there, building sets and making sure everything's ready. It takes a long time to get everything just right. The only problem is making it look fresh every time we do a take. But it's worth it in the end.
The album spawned 4 singles. The lead single, Better the Devil You Know, was released on the 30th of April 1990. Lyrically, the song was said to be about Kylie leaving the TV series Neighbours and her then relationship with Michael Hutchins. An accompanying music video was directed by Paul Goldman and was filmed in Melbourne, away from the constraints of PWL. The video's sexual tone caused some controversy, featuring Kylie dancing in a revealing black dress and posing suggestively with a shirtless black man. In the UK, Better the Devil You Know became her 5th non-consecutive number 2 single on the UK singles chart and stayed at that position for 2 consecutive weeks. It further peaked within the top 5 in Australia, Belgium and Ireland. Step Back in Time was released on the 22nd of October 1990 as the next single. Step Back in Time was composed as a disco song that intended to pay tribute to the 1970s culture and sound. It debuted at number 8 on the Australian singles chart before peaking at number 5 the following week. The song experienced a similar performance on the UK singles chart, where it debuted at number 9 and peaked at number 4 the following week. Step Back in Time became Kylie's second consecutive single to peak at number 4 on the Irish singles chart. The song's music video was shot in Los Angeles a month before the single's release, and this marked her first video to be filmed in the US. Rhythm of Love was released in the UK on the 12th of November by PWL and in Australia on the 3rd of December 1990 by Mushroom Records. Two special editions of Rhythm of Love were released in 1990 and 1991, with an Australasian tour souvenir edition released to support the tour. It included 3 bonus tracks in a gold outer sleeve. The edition was later released in the UK and is commonly referred to as the Gold Edition. Rhythm of Love was not as commercially successful as Kylie's previous albums. It debuted and peaked at number 9 on the UK albums chart, becoming her third consecutive top 10 entry on the chart and her first studio album that did not reach number 1. The album was certified gold in the UK on the 6th of December 1990 for selling 100,000 copies. By March 1991, it had sold over 300,000 copies. Despite this, the label was somewhat unhappy with the album's performance, with Tilla Rutherford, general manager of PWL, saying the number did not come up to expectations compared to Kylie's previous releases. In Australia, Rhythm of Love debuted at number 17 on the ARIA album chart and reached number 13 the following week. When Kylie was promoting the album with her Rhythm of Love tour, it peaked at number 10 on the chart in the week of the 10th of March 1991. Becoming her third top 10 studio album 4 months after being released. Later that year, Rhythm of Love was certified platinum by the Australian Recording Industry Association for selling 70,000 copies.
This is the third album, and I think this is the Kylie growing up album. This was, when literally Kylie became the artist, and we almost became irrelevant, really, I think, in truth. It's still the album that gets the least recognition, yet actually it's got some of the best tracks on it. And I always remember, Better the Devil You Know, Step Back in Time, What Do I Have to Do, Secrets and Always Find the Time, and Shocked. And I always remember that one thing about this, and my office was above the studio. And I remember Simon Cowell came in and I played him, What Do I Have to Do? And he literally would have given me anything for me to have that song. And I remember playing it because it was just for the first time we'd taken a slightly different sound. And we sort of knew that Better the Devil You Know was different. And Shocked was different, and I still think that today people are only just sort of realising how different this album was to everything we'd done before. There was a maturity about this album, and and I think that when you hear Step Back in Time, this album is actually probably got the best tracks as an album now. After all this time, you look back and you think, amazing what we were up to at that point.
We're about to do the film clip and it's snowing, at least trying to snow.
No, it's not snowing, especially
From the steaming streets of LA, we were plunged into the British winter. I love London, but when it's this cold and I've got to wear an outfit like this, I wish we were shooting somewhere a little nearer the sun.
Love's always been my excuse. Don't tell me it ain't right. My heart is my alibi. Only you get me acting crazy like I do. Say you can't believe it, but it's true.
What Do I Have to Do was a really fun video to work on. Very stylish, full of hidden meanings. How many movie stars can you look like in 3.5 minutes? So you need to pay attention. We had to work very hard to get every image right, and although you only see them very quickly in the video, it took us 2 18-hour days.
How can I prove that I really love you? There ain't a single night when I haven't held you tight. It's always inside my head, never inside my bed, and it's you. Bringing out the passion in my soul, and I gotta have you.
Turns around, can I see it going up and down?
Don't you know? What do I have to do?
It will wash off, thank goodness.
What do I have to do to get the message through? How can I prove that I really love you? What do I have to do?
The director has a lot of responsibility. Everything must come together on the set as well as in the finished video.
The camera gets here. I'll give you a cue for that.
Where's the camera coming from? In this video, I asked my sister Danny to come along.
It was Kylie's idea. We just wanted a bit of a giggle. She wrote a song for me for my album, which was like to say to everyone that the rumours weren't true, that we hated each other. And then so we decided, she came up to me the other day and said, why don't you be in my video? So, but I'm going to have a wig on and stuff, so you won't recognise me. You will, but you won't.
I felt like I'd done everything imaginable in this video, from the cold streets to a warm bed and onto a swimming pool. We did these shots in slow motion, which means it has to be filmed at high speed. And in the video, it comes out slow.
Originally planned to be the follow-up single to Better the Devil You Know, a remix of What Do I Have to Do was released on the 21st of January 1991 as the third single from Rhythm of Love. An accompanying music video that was set mostly in black and white was directed by Dave Hogan in London during December of 1990. The video's sexual undertones were too much for Saturday morning television shows in the UK, with the programmes airing a censored version of it. The single was Kylie's first to miss the top 10 in Australia, where it peaked at number 11, and the song also broke her run of top 5 singles in the UK, where it peaked at number 6. The song also peaked at number 6 in Ireland, becoming Kylie's third top 10 single from Rhythm of Love in the region.
Me acting crazy like I do. Say you can't believe it, but it's true. It's true. What do I have to do to get the message through? How can I prove that I really love you? What do I have to do to get it through to you? How can I
This is my moment of fame. These are the actual doors that Kylie Minogue uses in a new video, and it's called Shocked, and she's sitting there having a little 5 minutes rest, so I think I'll have a chat with her. Kylie.
Hi.
Thank you very much for allowing me to come and have a look at the video.
You're welcome. Have a seat.
Thank you. So, I must say, I don't mean to be rude, but it's not all that glamorous, is it? The doors are very glamorous, but where you're working...
The doors are glamorous, but it's cold outside, and actually this set was built for the James Bond movie, so it has a bit of history.
It does. Do you usually you work in a studio, or do you do videos outside?
Generally, there's a mixture of studio and OB, or outside.
Outside broadcasting.
Outside broadcast. And we did some exterior yesterday, so today we've been in the studio all day.
Surrounded by feelings I hardly recognize. I look for explanations. I'm taken by surprise. If you told me yesterday.
Thank you. Stand by, please. Going again.
I would sure enough call you a lie to your face because I'm shocked by the power. Oh, shocked by the power of love. I was rocked to my very foundation. Shocked by the power. Shocked by the power.
Relax.
How do you feel when you're doing your version and then had to stop and then you have to start it again? How do you feel when that happens?
Well, actually, Charlie, makeup artist extraordinaire, and Yvonne have great trouble because after I come off set, I'm kind of a bit, you know, hyped up from having to have energy. Not that I have a lot at the moment, but it is getting late. But anyway, when I go back to the makeup room for a checkup or whatever, I'm like jumping around. They're trying to get me to sit still. So sometimes it's difficult when your train of thought is going backwards and forwards.
Do you ever feel shy when there's everybody staring at you and you've got to do it again? It may not have been your fault. How do you feel then?
Yeah, it can be embarrassing.
And what about the intimate snog that you do? I've heard about this, although I didn't see that film.
No, you missed that one.
I know, just my
Came on
luck
the wrong
to
day.
miss the snogging.
Well, yeah, you'll have
Did
to
you
wait
feel
to
shy?
see that. Yeah, a bit. I mean, every scene is, you know, I mean, right now there's like...
Everybody's watching.
Yeah, but that's cool. I don't mind too much.
So do you have much time to go off and relax in your executive dressing room?
No, which is not too bad either because it's not that executive. But no, I mean it's quite good being busy. If you're sitting around for an hour or 2 hours, you get very weary.
So you just grab a coffee and a cake?
Another coffee and another cake, yes.
The single Shocked is a remix. Is that right?
Yeah, it's well, was first of all an album track, and DNA did a remix of it, so it became an obvious single. So that's very flattering
and
for me.
who's the woman that's in the track with you?
That's Jazzy P.
Jazzy
and,
P as opposed
she's
to B.
Yes, and she's signed to DNA, I think so. That's the connection there.
Shot like the lightning from up, down from the heavens, and it gave me love from a man who respects me. Loves of mind as well as my body. No retreat and no surrender. Equal to you regardless of gender. Giving me love that is warm and tender. That's why I gotta tell ya, you and I are of the same mind. It seems to me that we're one of a kind. It's true to say that when love is blind, but then true love is so hard to find. You respect me and the things I do. It was meant to be, I was made for you. Open the door to my heart, it stopped, and I'm shocked.
Do you have a lot of control over what happens in your video?
Yeah, a lot more than I used to, particularly.
Why do you think that is?
Because in general, now I have a lot more control over what I do. And especially 3 years ago, I had to do videos on the weekends or if I had a day off from Neighbours, so I was done whatever time I had. And now I have more time to put into it myself.
Tell me I'm only dreaming. I believe you.
The revolving doors play quite a major part in your video. I've seen you go spinning round and round and round for ages.
Yeah.
What's the idea of these doors then?
Well, it's quite hard to explain. Basically, I come through the revolving doors, and once I'm inside, it's a surreal world, mixture of surreal
Oh,
images.
because there's a surreal world down the other end of the studio.
Down the other end of the studio, yes.
How do you relax after you've done a video shoot like today?
I can tell you exactly what I'm going to do, have a nice hot bath and soak my feet because they are killing me.
And as they call you, and thank you very much for
Thank
allowing
you.
me to come and have a look at you making your video. And your poor feet, poor feet. Bless her, she's on them all day. Thank you very much.
Not much longer and I get to relax.
And I think I might just have one small revolve. If I can remember which way it goes round.
Well, after What Do I Have to Do, which really stirred them up, I decided to, that was a big step, and if I took another step on the most recent video, the same size, it would have been too much. So with the last song, I took a smaller step. Even though it is called Shocked, I decided to tone down a bit. I like to cause a bit of a stir.
English producers DNA remixed the track Shocked, which was released as the fourth and final single from the album on the 20th of May 1991. The remix includes a rap during the bridge that was written and performed by Jazzy P. Shocked peaked at number 6 on the UK singles chart, making Kylie the first artist to have their first 13 releases chart inside the top 10. It peaked at number 2 in Ireland and number 7 in Australia.
Like the lightning from up, down from the heavens, and it gave me love from a man who respects me, loves my mind as well as my body. No retreat and no surrender, equal to you regardless of gender, giving me love that is warm and tender. That's why I gotta tell ya, you and I are of the same mind. It seems to me that we're one of a kind. It's true to say that when love is blind, but then true love is so hard to find. You respect me and the things I do. It was meant to be, I was made for you. Open the door to my heart, it stopped, and I'm shocked.
Aside from the locomotion, Kylie had failed to find an audience in the United States, and following the release and underperformance of the Enjoy Yourself album, Geffen Records dropped her as an artist. Subsequently, MCA Records refused to distribute Rhythm of Love and cancelled plans to release Better the Devil You Know on the soundtrack of a new US film. In Australia and Asia, Kylie promoted the album with her Rhythm of Love tour, which was sponsored by Coca-Cola, from February to March 1991. Her provocative dance moves and choice of costumes drew strong reactions from critics, many of whom compared them to costumes worn by Madonna.
Prior to that, I would be asked, "Oh, Kylie, would you like to see a single cover? You sure?" I mean, I can go to Outprice, if that's a problem. That was pretty much the state of affairs. And from Devil onwards, I would say, here's my video. I don't care if you don't like any shots in it. This is it. Here's my record cover. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm not doing. And it was very difficult to stand up and make very different changes. But yeah, so from then on, all of the image has been completely up to me. I mean, I won't let any record company people so much as put a finger on it anymore. And the music has changed as well, because I reached a point with SAW that they knew that I was changing, and if I wasn't allowed to change with them, I wouldn't do anything at all.
Rhythm of Love remains a fan favourite to this day, and it's evident why. It's often considered to be a turning point in Kylie's career as a pop icon, being seen as the strongest effort during the PWL era due to the choice of singles, and that by working with different producers, it placed Kylie somewhere near, if not in the same league, as her female chart rivals for the first time. Following this, it would be almost 10 years before Kylie would experience similar levels of chart success again, with the release of Light Years in 2000 and subsequent album Fever in 2001. Rhythm of Love's songwriting and production still holds up to this day, and its tracks are often revisited by Kylie for her live tours. The era itself showcased a more confident Kylie as she began to command control over both her image and career, and which saw her gay fan base continue to grow with each album that followed, making her one of the biggest gay icons in popular music history. And it all started here in 1990 with this album. Thanks for watching.